Welcome to another episode of Everyday Celebrity Media News Live. Today we have a special guest joining us all the way from, I believe, Europe, somewhere in Europe, but we're going to talk about it. Trigger warning: this is going to be a very real show where we talk about real issues. So if you are triggered by basically all the crazy shit, you know what I'm saying? This might not be the episode for you, but you should listen to it anyway. So anyway, let's bring in our guest for today. She goes by the name of, how do you say it? Savit?
Savit.
Savit?
Okay. Yeah, Savit.
All right, Savit. Welcome to Everyday Celebrity Media News. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
And where are you from again? Where are you located?
France.
France? Mm-hmm. Paris?
Yes, around, yeah.
Okay.
Several places, but yeah.
Okay. And you are a educator, right? Or am I mistaken?
Yeah. I've got several degrees, which is not very much in my honor because it's more a sign of struggling at that point. But yes, basically my focus has been in language and social sciences, but in fact, human rights. Yeah, I did everything and anything to study human rights as a specialty. So social sciences, human rights, not full, mainly full social sciences.
Okay, and what got you so interested in human rights?
I think it's it's life basically. It's when you can't take it to see. Originally, it was orphan. I wanted to work with orphan, but he's studying or realizing and how many people are in distress, and yes, human rights for me is this. It's not. I don't really study the philosophy of it, or is try to take action.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What how many? What name the degrees that you have?
MA. Only MA.
MA.
BA and MA. BS and MA. Yeah.
Did you go to school in France or in America?
I went to France and I went to the UK.
Okay. And when did you finish all your schooling?
Oh, a while ago now.
Yeah.
A while ago. But it's not. I went. To be honest, I've done anything to get this degree, because this degree is very special. Yes, so there's very few specialists in human rights. There is a few university in the US. There is a couple in the UK, and period. Yes, you've got human rights via law. You've got maybe you got 10 to 15. But when it is question of only philosophy, human rights is awfully poorly represented, and very few people are trained, as a matter of fact. And after 2008 and the cuts in literary or theater, artistic, and so forth, when human rights went by the same. In fact, I had a kind of a story about this, is that one of these programs have been financed by the European Union, and they finance it, and they finance a big building and so forth. So it was a center of excellence. even if when you enter the center of excellence, you notice that there's not much in there. But basically, the big building have been built in honor of human rights and human rights, regrouping and so forth. They used it 5 or 6 years. After that, the program have been ditched. Not the entire program, but at least half of the program have been ditched. That is to say, there is no specialist any longer. Yes, it's only they take it from MA now. There is no BS any longer, and they ditched the program. And who went in this building? It was the business school. So basically, they've been funded by the European Union for, I think, it must have been a real big amount of money, because, it's surprising as a European to see that kind of money invested into buildings. The European university used to be almost free, yeah? So you paid the administration fees for university, which was like around $400, yeah? $400 a year, right? So basically, it's affordable to anybody. Basically, but it's not really the case, because when you need to work study 1 year, you need funding. But at least you don't have to pay university. I don't know, 60,000 a year. You know what I mean? 60,000. I'm exaggerating now, but 6,000 is what it was, only 400. You see, and. So it's very surprising for an European to see that how much you have to pay, and that it translates into very nice building, very nice meeting, and very, very pushy things. Yeah? Instead, by the way, to be reinvested into research and so forth, right? And this was what happened in this university was a pure scandal, because they have been funded a building that was supposed to welcome so human rights people working towards this, yes. And 5 years after, boom, business MA that took over. So yeah, it's one of these things. Yeah.
So you specialize in human rights. So what are some things that are going on, some stories that are going on that you want the world to know about?
Yeah, so I'm not really specializing in human rights. This is my degree, and what happened is that I go on reading about this, yes. And I've got 4 subjects that I like to put put forward, is because they are not subjects that people really know about. Mind, in the US, you know about trafficking, human trafficking.
Human trafficking? Like child sex trafficking?
Yes, like child sexual exploitation.
Yeah.
The reason you might know more than European is maybe not a very good one, is because the US have got an enormous problem with it. I mean, within their borders.
Well, is Europe in Paris, right? Because I mean, I've been to Paris before, and I don't know how this is everywhere in Paris, but is it frowned upon when young women are like dating grown men?
Oh no, but it's not about dating at all, huh?
So young, like you can be like
exploitation. It's not like dating at all. Yeah, it's not something you can compare at all. Yeah. No, what is happening is in Europe, trafficking is just not. He might, of course, he has to happen. Yeah, because and to the shame of everyone. For example, in any town. In any town, even in France, I'd say even, but I mean, I'm not saying we are a big model, yeah. But still on this account, human rights are much more protected. Yeah. So in any big town, you know that there is a street where there is exploited people, and this is sexual exploitation. So mostly, like 98% maybe is gonna be females, and most of them is gonna be people that are migrant, but in fact they are refugee, because so many are from Africa or east of Europe, and they don't have a choice. Yeah, they don't have an absolute no choice about it. Yeah, and it's what it is that everyone knows about it. Yeah, you don't know to be police. You don't have to be police about it. There is a street where you know that this kind of prostitution is going on, and it's not prostitution.
So
It's females. But
if everyone knows about it, why do you think
well, this is
why do you think it's so going on freely in the world?
yeah. So there is two explanation, I think, that I've got for it. Is like the kind of obvious one that is not really talked about is corruption. Yeah. Is if you've got there is corruption going on. In fact, it's a new subject that I try to explore now. But what it is said about sexual exploitation, but when it is really the fruit of a big organization. Like not something like a one-off by maybe two or three people. No, but when it's organized crime, and when you can see them in the street, yeah, it means that it's for sure it is corruption. It is because there is the police, the judges, the maybe the social worker, even maybe the people looking after these things. They just don't do anything, and there's a reason why they don't do anything. So we don't know what's the reason.
Participating in it.
Maybe participate. Maybe is higher up. Yeah. But sometimes you are doing a job. You thought even in social as a social worker, for example, you there is so many times where people will say to you, "Oh yeah, that's a great job. You are here to make a difference," and so forth. And you come into the job, and you in fact you can't do anything about what you are supposed to do. And why is it this mess? Then you've got to be on the job to know it. But maybe there is this police that are there, and they can't do a thing about it. And what is happening? It's higher up, or maybe it's at all level as well. Yeah. So you've got a different type of corruption. Is when you are on it, like you said, they are participating. Or is when, and this is very widespread, and maybe it's very widespread in richer country, is that you don't provide the service you are supposed to provide. You see, and they are supposed to say, look, we're gonna stop what you are doing, and it's not done. So. And also, I think that there is another problem that is more societal. This one is that there is this massive problem of unemployment. That is to say, if you stop this from happening, what do you do after? Yes. How will you help people out of this system and so forth? And with this, it's a kind of a systemic. It's like invading this system, yeah. Between unemployment, between homelessness, and so forth. It goes worse and worse and worse, and no one is lifting a finger any longer, because
is prostitution legal in France?
Alors là, I could check for you. I don't think it is. No.
Yeah.
No. So do they this is so I'm not doing things very nationally and so forth. I'm doing things more globally.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I don't think it is at all in France, but when you get into sexual exploitation, you've got this big problem. It's one of the big problems, is that what they many countries end up doing is that they criminalized the people, the females that are,
Oh yeah, the
in
victims.
fact, the victims. Yeah,
Yeah.
they criminalize the victims, and I mean, it's so shocking that this information. I've been working on reading about prostitution for at least 10 years, right? But this information is so shocking that every now and then I used to check, I used to check how true it is, and it is totally true. But they end up in the US, because I'm reading about the US.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what they end up doing is criminalizing the victim. Yeah, so you've got someone that is trafficked. They are 15. Let's say they are 16, right? The 16 is still a kid. You find them in the street. They are plied with alcohol. They are run away. There is nowhere they can do. They are plied with drugs and so forth. They are pimped out in the street. Yeah. Also, very situation is when it's exploitation and differences between exploitation and prostitution. Just to say that prostitution is very often not the good word for it, because basically you end up in situation where women are pimped out. I don't know how many times a day for the most of the money goes to the males,
Yeah.
to the pimps, basically. So
Mm-hmm.
they are under control. What they are into complete abusive situation, and they still call prostitution, and shouldn't be this way. Yeah, because the life of these women is just appalling. It's just a list of abuse and a list of violence that never stop. Yes, and this is not prostitution, by the way. This is trafficking. But there is a culture of saying, they are prostitute, they are choosing it. Well, there is so many cases where they don't choose it. Yeah, it's like if me, I come and I have this power and I say, look, you work for me for $1 a day. Yeah, and you can't say no to me, because if you say no to me, I'm beating you up until you are thirsty, until you are hungry, and at one point you're gonna move to have something in your plate. You see this in this. You are in this situation, and on top of it, the society itself will tell you, oh, you consent to it. Yeah, that's your contract, man. So it's one of the principle of human rights, is that human rights are inalienable. That is to say, there's no one that can say to you, you agreed to it. Because even if you agreed to it, you cannot agree to that, because it's slavery, basically. And in this case, it's sexual slavery.
What
And
country is the worst when it comes to, I mean, I know it's all over the world, but what country is it like the worst? Is it India?
yeah, it's gonna be, I think it's gonna be India. Globally, let's say Asia and the Pacific.
Mm-hmm.
And India is a very bad place. It's a very bad place. But you've got big problem in part of Colombia. You've got a big problem, for example, with the Chinese mafia.
Mm-hmm.
What you will have is, because and this is kind of a very interesting data, is that it is how it has been hidden through, for example, child marriage. uh, until 2017, the when they married a child, for the whole international community, it was just described as child marriage. And a lot of time when this describe as child marriage, it is like they will say, oh, may it's down to tradition, it's down to religion, and it's down to the amount of poverty. Basically, it's almost more or less justified,
Mm-hmm.
and this kind of justification when
You're
people
talking
start
about like
talking about.
arranged marriages?
Yeah, of course,
Oh,
arranged marriages, but when it's like when you married a kid, yeah.
yeah.
So basically, yes, arrange, but is very arranged marriages is something, but when it's between two adults, you hope that they might do something about it. Maybe, yeah, but they are renegade, they are outcast, and so forth. But at least maybe we pray for them to be able to run. Yeah, a
Mm.
child cannot run. Yeah, and so this whole justification of religion, for example, when it is more or less accepted by religion, to say something about it, classify you as as being a religious phobe or something like this. Yeah, and I mean it's a big in certain legal system. Out of experience, such as common law, for example, or in some countries where traditions are very put forward to be to be respected, and anything that is happening under religious habits, you can't criticize it. Yes,
Yeah.
it's like the religious card is a trump card. As about anything you do, and in here, it's like it's like in our book is as like when they start torturing LGBT people, saying no, but it's not correct, it's not in the Bible, and they can electrify their kids because they feel they are LGBT. And there's and the law are for them. Is that kind of behavior as in until 2017, child
It,
marriage were not legally seen as human trafficking. And these classifications are very important because the moment you are classified as sexual trafficking, for example, then the law is stronger. Then
okay.
hopefully the implementation of the law is stronger and so forth. So it's why um, it had to be so. But one again, very bizarre data is that human trafficking has been regarded by the international community as so by the UN and by the US at the same time, but by the UN, even the United Nations, it has been legally recognized as human trafficking
Mm-hmm.
only since 2000.
Mm.
Yeah. So
That
before you had charges such as smuggling, prostitution, but not modern slavery, basically.
isn't in India. Don't they have where like women don't they have like strange laws to when it comes to when women who are raped that they're not protected or something like that? Do you know the laws in India like?
Uh, Not as such, no. Uh,
Because I believe I've read somewhere that if you're in India and if a man rapes you,
you have to marry him.
yeah, or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. This is happen. In fact, India, I'm not sure, but since it's a federal country, it might, the laws might be very different. But this is happening in different countries. It's not only Asian country. this one. Yeah. Also, it's it's like crime of honor or something like this. It's happening in the world. It's happening. There is certain community that they does like that. They can these people can kidnap you and rape you, and the moment they cut a girl and do rape her, they may marry them. This is happening in different places in the world, yes. But also you've got something that is a big kind of rule, is that since there is so many people having so many countries, having signed the UN agreement on child rights. Let's stay on child, even many countries on women rights. But what I'm for sure is child rights. There is only 2 countries in the world that didn't sign the UN declaration, UN Convention on Child Rights. It is the US.
Well, first of all, explain what that is.
And Somalia. Well, you've got the United Nations.
Yeah.
And United Nations have so you've got human rights that are protected by different kind of convention. So basically, for example, you've got CAT, which is the convention against torture, and so you've got different kind of convention, and there's the country in the UN that they are all the country are represented in the UN, right? And this country, one by one, they sign the convention, and this convention are like a body of laws. And if you sign the convention, it means that you agree with the body of laws.
Okay.
And what? So this is law. This is so you've got dualistic and monistic system, or you adopt the laws it is from the UN into your country, or you say yeah, I agree, but I'm gonna write my own laws for my nation, my own national laws, but in respecting the word, the letter, and the spirit of the law that is in the UN. So when you sign, basically, whatever you do after, if you embrace the UN law, or if you're gonna translate it into your national laws, what you say is, the moment you sign, you say, I agree with the spirit of this letter. Yes, I agree with the human rights you've listed there. I agree with them, and I'm gonna will be trying to respect them. Yes.
Yeah.
For the children rights, every country on earth have signed this paper on children rights. Yeah. So UNICEF, UNICEF. Yeah.
Yeah.
UNICEF is the body that looks after that. Yeah. So this, yeah. So they've got the children rights. It's under UNICEF, right? And every country signed it, yeah, but the US and Somalia. And the US.
Wait. Every country signed it except for the US and Somalia?
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of the big jockey data within human rights community. Because so there is a joke going around, is because there is the US said, oh no, we are not signing it because we have much better atom. This is one
which means what we can police it better in our own country.
No, it's not police. It's not police necessarily. It's like it's fun. You say, "Oh, I read your declaration on children rights, and I think it's rubbish. Basically, we are better. We know we've got bodies of law that are better at protecting our children, basically.
Okay. Okay.
But this is a joke. Yeah,
Mm.
this is a joke. I don't have really the details of what was going on, but if you want
So
what
you're
I
saying it was a
know,
good thing that the U.S. didn't sign it?
no, that is the joke.
Mm.
What I mean is that when you do that, when you say, "Oh, there's the UN Declaration on Children Rights," and you don't want to sign it, if you want to find a crappy justification to not sign it, you're gonna say, "Oh, I've got better laws." But this doesn't stand water to say that.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why, obviously, certainly there is more to it, huh? But I'm not aware of. Huh? But for example, in the US, you have very, very poor protection against a child marriage.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reason. Maybe you've got a very poor. This I don't think it is this, but further education. I mean, it's almost to do with kids because you might be at university at 18, so forth. But this is not the case. But there is, yeah. So the explanation, you can only guess why they wouldn't sign the UN Convention for children rights, right?
Yeah. But what
Um,
about Somalia, though? I mean, Somalia doesn't seem like they have good rights for
well,
anybody.
yeah, Somalia. I don't know. Maybe because it's to do with being an Islamic country. Though all over Islamic countries signed it. Maybe it's to do with it's very chaotic out there. My knowledge is very low, so I'm not gonna. But like civil war
Mm-hmm.
and conflicts with Eritrea and so forth is so chaotic out there. In fact, I don't really know why Somalia, but I think it's because of it's not a stable country. This is one of the reasons. Um, but what I was going to with this is that there is many countries. So almost every country on earth signed it, yeah, but they don't respect the law.
Yeah.
You've got so many countries, and this is gonna be in Africa and in Asia. Usually, it's very poor countries. Uh, so they signed the convention, the UN convention, even in their national law. No. Child marriage is not allowed, but it's happening all over the place. It's almost the majority. There is countries is more than 50% of 18-year-old are married when the moment they are 18 they are already married. So it's like uh, and before they are 16.
Do you
So
think it's
yes,
a
is in
Do you think it's a religious thing? Because a lot of these countries who
alors,
do this shit, they're like real religious countries. So do you think that's the problem or one of the problems?
yeah, it is both Islamic and Christian countries, but they do that. So what they are majoritarily Christian. There's child marriage. There's majority Muslim. They do child marriage. From the Muslim Islam, for Islam, there is something more that it's a lot of more worrying is that if you follow the life of their prophet, this guy married four women, yes,
You talking
and the
about
fourth one was a
Elijah Muhammad.
Sorry,
Who are you talking about?
I'm talking about the Prophet of Islam.
Oh, okay, Muhammad.
Yeah. Yeah, this one. And the fourth woman was not a woman at all. She was a child. And in many uh, um, certainly most of the translation and most of the justification of present Sharia law in Islamic countries, she was a 9-year-old child. And it's why that even if you've got national law saying no, we don't do child marriage, there is the Sharia law going on top of it, and then it becomes even a model. It's become a kind of a way of adhere to one's religion to do child marriage, because it's like you emulate the life of the prophet of
Yeah.
of their prophet.
Do you think
Yeah.
the majority of people really know about that?
I
Because I
don't
think a
know.
lot of people
No,
don't
I
even
don't
a lot of
think.
people don't even know that what you just said is an actual fact. They're
Yeah, yeah,
ignorant.
yeah. Yeah. But the problem is that you can't. I- I- you can't even blame them for being ignorant, because this fact is so hidden. Yeah.
Yeah.
Me, I've got this. Um, this opportunity or whatever. Yes. I know about, for example, British news, British media, and French media. Yeah, and it's like rich to know, what is happening in two different nations and two different, it's similar cultures, but it's two different part of it's two different nations, and yeah, yes, it's a bit different. Yeah, it really is different. Yeah, we
Yeah.
are cousin, of course. Yes, we are cousin culture. It's not, but it's really different, right? And all of them, whatever it is, BBC, whatever it is, our big French national radio station and so forth, they say about Islam that is the religion of love. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got program every weekend. Yeah, you've got a program, maybe more than one program a week, maybe around Islam. Yeah, around the Eid, around what's going on. Yeah. So when you are exposed to your national media like this, at least you will think that they give you the main points of of what it is. Yeah, you think you are informed, basically. Yes.
Hmm.
And this media called Islam the religion of love, and it is completely in a hazardous way that you come across with what really is given as a model when in the hadiths of the life of um, of Islamic prophet, the life of it. So that is to say, war, people that got enslaved, people that get beheaded, that get any kind of killing possible, sexual slavery, polygamy, and pedophilia. Yeah. And everything is there, but no one knows, and you can't even blame them, because even if you are very much exposed to Islamic religion through working, from being friend with Muslim and so forth. If no one told you, if no one's telling you that, even your national media will tend to, in Europe, but we will tend to have a program once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, not maybe about Islam per se, but about about the tradition, about the way of life and so forth. And you won't know. The only thing that you will equate to Islam to, if you listen to them, is that Islam is a religion of love, and you end up so yeah. So
So
it's not.
I'm pretty sure you know about the Bible. So if you like read the Bible says it goes back to where women were basically considered like the servant or being less than, and that was at the beginning of time. If you like a real religious person, so do you think religion is at fault for the way women are perceived in today's society?
No, but this is for certain. If people have kept a book and put it into Excel, and but adore it, and make sure no one can criticize it, and make sure it's the law of the land, and so forth, and that in this book there is enough material to be abusive and exploitative, and like nurture hatred, and nurture disregard and disrespect, and whatever you want to qualify it. Of course it's a big source of it's a big source. Yes, is you can even think that sometimes is because religion have allowed exploitation to occur, that people are following them. It's
Yeah.
not because the trunk argument is that, yeah, but imagine it could be worse, and you have to thank them because they protecting you from evils and so forth. Yeah, it is
Mhm.
true that you can always imagine worse than your present situation. It is true, and it is true that is a concern. Yeah, but yes, that is the problem, is because it has been a justification for any type of yeah,
Are you
evil. But
religious?
what does it mean,
Are
religious?
you religious? Or like, do you follow a faith?
Yes, if I follow faith, yeah, you're right. I'd say no then, but I do believe in something much more bigger and much more. Um, so I'd say I do believe in God. So maybe I'm religious, but I don't follow any faith. No, maybe
Okay.
I follow veganism because but so this is not a faith, but this is a principle that I would follow, as that you can't harm life just because you can. This is I think is a principle of love, and it's principle of respect, and
Yeah.
it's a principle also of evolution, and it's principle that yeah. But I would follow religiously.
What do you
But
say? What do you say to the people? I mean, you said you're a vegan, right? So what do you say to the people who say, "Well, that's just a part of the way of life. We need to eat animals to survive. All animals eat each other and shit like that." What do you say to people like that?
um, so we don't need to eat animal to survive. So this is out of the way. Just this, that's a big question, because if you need to eat animal for to survive, and is is something else, and it's maybe in the situation when we were before, but even not. I think it's a question of spirits. We always have been in situation where we should have said, no, we're not gonna kill this life. Yes, we're gonna
Mm.
do something else. And instead of doing that, we say, oh yes, you know what, we can park them and just pretend we look after them. And when we look after them enough, we just slaughter them. Yeah. And this is I think that this is very interesting of what is human society as a whole. And it's very worrying and it's very degrading. And if someone say animals kill each other, what I would say is that if humanity has one power, is I would say is this one, is that um, it could unchain itself from this fatality of life. But
Yeah.
one, we are omnivore, but we don't need meat to survive, and we don't need meat to be very, very healthy. Yeah. So
Do
this
you
is
do you have a problem with the way animals are killed, or just them being killed? Period. Because you know how you go
no,
to
no.
when you go to
Of
cow
course,
when you
it's
go to
kill
cow
period.
farms, when you go to cow farms and you see that they have like thousands of cows all bunched up together, and same as chickens
Mm,
and shit.
mm,
But then if you go to some places in Asia, Kobe beef. The reason why Kobe beef is so expensive, the most expensive meat in the world, is because the way they take care of the animal before they kill it.
mm, yeah.
So a lot of people have problems with the way animals are treated before they're killed and
Eh,
processed,
eh,
and then some
mm.
people just have a problem with animals being killed
No, no,
for
I'm vegan. I'm
consumption.
vegan.
Period. So,
Yeah.
which one do you fall in?
No, no, it's I think of course there is this that in our society now you've got what you just described is enfin, a good remedy to eating meat is to watch a video on the farming process and the slaughtering process. And
Mm,
when you see just what you describe is the condition these cows are in, they are perfused with antibiotics and so forth, because it's so appalling condition that they would drop if they didn't have a high dose of antibiotic. They would get sick, and they've got ulcers, they've got pus. It's like the condition of these animals, but and they're suffering from birth to death, where from the birth is that you've got the mummy who get pregnant, she giving birth, and the baby is taking from her.
mm-hmm,
uh, the moment you are lucky enough to have had an animal with you, and lucky enough to have seen a mother, a caring mother looking after kittens, for example, horrid this act is. Yes. And we've got the list of horrendous things that is happening in farming and is slaughtering us is endless. Yeah. But even if you tell me, oh, yeah, she had a splendid life in the meadow, and she got back to a nice and dry and fresh air, and so forth like that.
mm-hmm.
The moment you do that to a being in order to kill them,
Yeah.
in order to feed yourself while you absolutely don't need it, is a psychopathic deed. It's a psychopathic system. Is as simple as that. You could do the same with, I don't know, your children, for example. Could do the same with your children. I don't know. You groom them into being. I don't know, whatever you want, but with just, that is a short life, for example, but they do something for you, and they're gonna lose their life just only for you to get richer, for example. This is totally a parallel example, but everything you do it is because you've got a power onto the life and death of these people, and is because it's gonna bring you money, for example, and that you could absolutely avoid it. On top of it is like there is no evil that asks you to do, that compel you into doing it. There is no society that this is something else about veganism or vegetarianism, is that is something you can do it on your own accord. Yeah, you basically well, maybe there is some example you could, but you won't lose your job, you won't lose you it's something you can do it tomorrow. You say, okay, I'm stopping eating and killing animals, and you can do it,
Yeah.
you know and
Yeah, you can do it.
so
It's just hard as fuck
yeah.
to do when you're used to them hamburgers and shit.
Vegetarian is very easy. No, vegetarian is
It's
very, very
easy.
easy. Yeah. Veganism it's a problem. Vegetarian is very
Veganism is like a
easy.
lifestyle, right? Because you can't use anything with an animal product, right?
Veganism is difficult. Veganism is difficult because yes, you have to avoid leather, for example, and believe me, I'm a walker, so I've got to have strong shoes and so forth. I spend hours looking for non-leather shoes, and this is really. This is really shit. But vegetarian, it's easy, I think, since we've got internet, because what you want is to be healthy. Yeah, you want to have a nutrition that is okay for your body. This is normal. This is instinct. This is human. You see that, and it's gonna override your any other decision making. So now you want to have food that is okay for you, but now you've got the internet, and you've got I don't know, you've got 50 100 very good website that will give you tips about how to be a healthy vegetarian. And also is because you've got the food around, you see. Of course, it's really easier if you have an Indian shop around, because there is so many types of beans, there is so many types of pulses, there is so many types of of nuts and seeds, and yes, and if you are vegan, you kind of need them. So that's very problematic for the vegan, but for vegetarian is so easy. You've got eggs, you've got nuts and beans and lentils and dal and your yogurt and your fromage blanc and your cream. So all dairy you can think of. Yes, this is very, yes, this is easy.
All right. Well, tell me about. You mentioned that you wanted to touch on something before we started.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So that's there is a very serious thing happening in Kenya. It's been going on for years, but in 2014, this is when things are starting. So it's about LGBT persecution in Africa, basically. And for this story, there's a turning point. It's 2014. In Uganda, there's what has been called the kill the gays law. And in 2014, they tried to pass a law that would have, say, death penalty for people that are said to be LGBT or recognized as being LGBT people. So if you were recognized as LGBT, it could be death penalty for you. It didn't go through, but even if it didn't go through, the LGBT to be LGBT in Uganda is like years and years of imprisonment. Is like you are killed in the street anyhow by your family or by your neighbors for being gay and so forth. So since 2014, there's refugee from Uganda, from other places in East Africa, but mainly from Uganda to Kenya. And Kenya has got this big UN, so United Nations camp, a refugee camp. And in fact, it's the only one in East Africa that is habilitated to shelter LGBT refugees. The only place in East Africa for that. So yes, they are supposed to welcome these LGBT refugees. The problem is that is within the camp. I repeat it, is a United Nations camp, refugees. So they are almost daily assaulted, and they've got so many problems. They are attacked with machetes. They are punched. They are battened. They are iron bar battened, and they've got problem from going to for water supply to they are to being refused the paper they are asking for, to being refused medical care and so forth. And what is happening is that in Kenya, so this is a UN camp in Kenya, but in Kenya, if you are found to be LGBT, in Kenya itself, in the national laws, in Kenyan national laws, you can be thrown into prison up to 15 years.
Just for being
15 years.
LGBT?
Yes, just to be LGBT. Just to be LGBT is 15 years prison. And so out of nowhere, the UN decided to make sure it was Kenyan who looked after LGBT refugees. So you can see the problem. You've got a police that if they arrest their nationals to be LGBT, they can throw them into jails. Or they can do, so this is what they do, and throw them into jails, anyhow they are abused by the prisoners and so forth. So you've got the Kenyan police that they are persecuting by obeying the laws, the LGBTs, and all of a sudden they are supposed to say nothing to the LGBT refugee from Uganda, and this is not happening, right? This is completely not happening. You can't just police that are paid to put these people in prison, and suddenly they will say nothing because they are refugees. That is to say, someone that has got a status that is really less protected than your national in the first place, right? Yes. So these LGBT people, they are. So what is happening is they are attacked by locals. So locals are Kenyans, and this a big camp is I don't remember now. I think it's like 200,000 people in the same camp, 200,000 refugees in the same camp around it. Yes, they are big camps, and there's two like this, but it's only one the LGBT they are supposed to protect LGBT people. And yes, I mean, and I talk about two camps because now Kenya is threatening everyone to close two camps. This is a total of 400,000 refugees, because they've got problem with. So this is the Uganda side, and there's another side near Somalia. And there's big problem with Somalia, and there's big problem with terrorists. And so what is appear to be happening is that the LGBT people are attacked by both the locals and the terrorists, refugees within the camp. And
so they're putting
no one is doing.
they're putting LGBT people in a camp full of refugees and terrorists.
Yeah.
And then the LGBT people are getting attacked by both of them.
Yeah, they are. Me, I am aware of this happening because I enter into contact with one of the refugee, and he started telling me what was happening to them. And this very guy, were one of the guy at the forefront of being activist, basically, has been killed 2 months after we spoke together. Basically, is what is happening.
So you reached out to someone who was in the camp, and he was telling you what was going on, and then 2 months later he was murdered.
Yeah. In fact, as a matter of fact, I was looking for podcasting, and he said, yeah, no problem, we're gonna do a podcast and so forth. I started saying, no, but we've got a problem, because I can see you are in Kenya, and I know things are tough there. I don't want to put you into any danger and so forth. And I don't know, 2 weeks after, he called me. And he told me, yeah, something happened, I've been attacked. And I'm not a native speaker, so I can't really have a word for it, but very awkwardly I asked him to show me his injury, because I just wanted to make sure that if I started any action, it was something that was real. Yeah. And so he showed me he's been cut by a machete, sorry. And in fact, his injury, I've known it after, because I'm now in contact with a Canadian activist that looked after him, because no one was helping them. So she was a former some kind of Red Cross staff, volunteer staff, and she told him how to kind of make a good dressing on his injury. So the injury that I saw, it is one of the minor injury he had basically, and I didn't get how bad it was. And but I think that he has been particularly targeted because he didn't he kind of tried to do his job as an activist.
How did you find out he passed away?
Well, because I was in touch with him. Because I tried to do something when I saw that, I tried to do something, and in fact, it's a bit of a long story, but I think it's worth mentioning it. So I do what I do is that I try to work on the subject with every kind of news release I find about it, or academic papers. And I was going through 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. It's so the Reuters, for example, talked about it. More LGBT organization talked about it. The UN talked about it, and so forth. And I don't know, after the 10th paper or 15th paper, there is the UN saying, be careful, because before helping, because sometimes it's the report from the police and from the NGO and one of those victims might not being the same. So sometimes what they are saying is sometimes it's not always true. It's what they say, yeah. But and when I saw that, I thought, my God, so what is true and what is not true. And in fact, the UN declaration, the post they have on their website is not. It's not like they won't say, "Oh no, it's not true," but they say, "There's some things that maybe doesn't add up." And as I knew already, is that the Kenyan police clearly cannot be trusted, because what they are being told, these people, is they are not normal. They are cursed, they bring about diseases, they bring about catastrophes, if I don't know, it's like a witchcraft kind of thing, yeah. But it's to say, if you've got someone who died in your family and you say, oh, is because of LGBT people, they are a curse on us, right? And these people, so LGBT people are affronting that on and on and on, right? So there is persecution, right? And as it happened, I know a little an activist that is known in the and I'm in touch with him, yeah, and I asked him, and he's on his fight. He said, no. This situation has been going on forever. It's been going on for years. There's a list of assault, is endless list of assault, and nobody is doing anything. And the problem is that there is a recrudescence. It's worsening since COVID, because since COVID, the people are doing less and less physically, you see. So they try to arrange things before COVID and after COVID. So they were extracting people. Can you imagine? They are together with terrorists. The Kenya as a country want to close these camps because they've got a terrorist act within this camp.
Yeah.
And it's terrorists from Somalia, from Chad, from all of the countries that have been through hell forever. Yeah. So from Chad, from Sudan, from Somalia mainly. Yeah. And these guys are terrorists and through all over Africa. There's problem in Mali, there's problem in Nigeria, there's problem in Uganda, there's problem in Liberia, there's problem in Central Africa. Yeah, there is a civil war. There is people that die from being assassinated, from being the genocidal attempt at every corner of Africa. And you mix these guys who are active terrorists, who enter Al-Shabaab, Al Qaeda, whatever is going on their spot. And now they are in down south in Mozambique, right? So all over, and you have the LGBT bloc in some of the camp, and there's absolutely no protection. The LGBT, so this guy got killed. Yeah, there is no many murders. Yeah, as it happened, it's. They pushed as it is in the Islamic Islamic kind of I'd say habits is not the word, but if you find LGBT, they find an LGBT homosexual in Sharia law, in some type of Sharia law, they push the homosexual from a rooftop. Okay, so they did that to refugees as well in this camp. Yeah, there was a refugee. She was about to go to a country such as Sweden. I think it was Sweden. And just before she goes, the story goes by they ask her for money. She said, "No, I've got money." They push her from the roof. Yeah, she's got many. She's got the hips fracture and broken and so forth like this. Yeah, and yeah. And so you mix this guy, you put them into the same camp, and since the murder, yeah, because this guy died from being burned alive, yeah, with a petrol bomb. Already 1 year before, he had been attacked with a petrol bomb. A year later, almost to the day, yeah, second petrol bomb attack, he died. But it's not. I mean, it's yes, it's, the Reuters. It is in the Reuters. You know, it's not. It's not rumors. Yeah, it's like at least there is a big newspaper reporting on it. Yeah, so this guy has been killed. He didn't have it was not possible almost for him to, it was the burn. It was so burned. They did. Yeah, so it's inextricable. And since he had been murdered, the refugee, there's 200 LGBT that are okay to be open about what they are LGBT, and 100 people that they don't want to say they are LGBT, but it is known they are LGBT, but they don't want to say it, right? So there are 300 LGBT in this camp. Since the murder, they didn't see a UN staff. They are in the UN camp. They didn't see any UN staff since the murder. I'm
So
simplifying.
no one's trying to solve the murder. That's what you're saying.
No one, nothing. And when you know about Facebook account and linking account, and there is a special representative, an LGBT woman from South Africa. She's a lawyer in the US and so forth, and she's appointed by the UN to protect these people. Right? All that you can see in a social account is she's fundraising for herself. It's something very high in society. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, she's a lawyer. She's volunteering. I guess she's volunteering because there's a lot of people volunteering for the UN. But when you put that on your CV, it's good. As usually it's only top people, only top lawyers is people that are bilingual, that have got to enter the UN. Usually they are top people, right? And this person, yeah, she's appointed to protect these LGBT people, yeah, and all that she does is saying good thing about the UN, yeah, to thank the UN. She didn't even mention on her account that this guy had just been killed. The only thing she was doing on her personal account is to do fundraising for herself. It's unbelievable.
Well, yeah, I mean that's expected. Politicians and the UN, they're all corrupt, and especially in Africa. Africa's the whole fucking continent is corrupt, I think. But we have to wrap this up.
Yeah.
Do you have any like social media accounts, or do you want to give any information that people can reach out to you if they want to talk to you about certain things?
Yes, thank you. My pen name is Sedvi, and my main blog is in the name of humanrights.com.
In the name of humanrights.com?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's where people can reach out to you and read your work?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for my work and so literary work, and but on the topic of human rights is more my reading, and I kind of try to summarize what I've read. It's all what is called peer-reviewed things. Is like a big newspaper, but it's the difference between mass media and mainstream. Is mass media is when I push the button of my radio. This is mass media. This is what I'm gonna have to swallow, because when I cook, it's gonna be my radio. That's the mass media. But mainstream media, it's this subject. There always someone that is. It's big names are writing about these things, but maybe once, and it's not in the mass media. It's just this is that. We don't know those things until we try to scratch the surface and try to get out of national mass media. It is in the mainstream media because there's still a bit of press freedom and journalists doing their job very easy, but yes, it's not like it is structured as if it was not a big subject. You see, they are not big subjects, so it's very boring at the same time. For the freedom of press, there is many journalists that said that they are losing. Like this Murdoch situation, where they own every kind of paper. They even own scientists. The papers, academic for scientists, and on and on and on. So what they gonna let you read about? We don't know what we gonna end up reading about if they own everything just like this. Like, for example, Murdoch, which is the newspaper in Australia, in the UK, and so forth, is a climate change denier.
Yeah.
So if your boss is a climate change denier, what can you do?
Well, all right. Savitz, thank you for coming on. Thank you for your work. I'm pretty sure. Everyone should appreciate what you're doing, and I hope you continue your work, and hopefully we can talk again real soon and give me an update.
Yes.
Give me an update on everything that you're doing again. So let's reconnect later on down the road.
Yeah, it will be with pleasure.
Okay.
It will be with pleasure. Thank you very much for having invited me.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good night.
Bye.